and then I would kind of blow up. And it took me hours, if not days, to come back to myself. And it almost felt like I was out of control of the situation. And I remember seeing your post on WhatsApp saying, there might be a root cause that we're not aware of why things happen, why we react the way we react, parenting coach. So I saw it. I just sat with it. I left it alone. And then I said, you know what? Maybe there's something more. Maybe I should explore this. And that's what
Wow.
brought me to you.
How you felt at that moment, like before we start?
I felt overwhelmed, always overwhelmed. I mean, I still have overwhelmed, but I felt overwhelmed and I started questioning myself because I would get into such bad places and rage and have such negative thoughts that I'm like, these are so unhealthy to have. And I'm a good person, but I'm speaking like a really not good person in my head towards my children who I'm supposed to love. So I felt like there was a big conflict within me. It's like I know I'm good. And I would remember journaling. I tried journaling every night to help myself and say, like, okay, be patient. Tomorrow will be better. You're going to do better tomorrow. And it's like, no matter how many times I wrote that, same thing kept happening. And I couldn't figure out what it was and how to prevent it from happening. So I felt like I was missing something, that's for sure. And that I didn't have much control over the situation or much influence even over the situation, that this would just happen. And then I would feel guilty. And then I would try to be better and be sorry. And then again, it would happen. And it didn't feel like it aligned with who I am.
Wow. And in this moment, what was the most place that you felt like I need the change? What was the trigger that you felt that's it? I need to change.
I think my husband's like, it took me a while. And he's like, you got to get yourself together. Like, what, like something's like, what's happening? And I couldn't even explain what's happening. And the fact that it just kept happening repeatedly. And then I also, like, in my mind, I remember there was like this one morning that it got very bad, that I almost pictured me with my oldest daughter like 5-10 years from now, and it was not a good place. We were like enemies. She wasn't my friend. We didn't speak. There was no trust. There was a lack of love. And I, for some, like, Hashem gave me this image forward, and I realized, like, this is not what I want. Like, if this is going to keep going this way, this is where I'm going to end up. And I see, like, I'm a very observant person, so I always observe people around me, relationships around me, how people are with their kids. And I didn't want to have this resentful relationship with my child. I didn't want her to feel like she has to hide things from me, or that, because she wouldn't come to me, she would make a poor choice, and then I would feel like I was the cause because she didn't have a way to communicate with me. So it was just this one morning this happened, and I remember going to her room after I just blew up on her, sent her to a room. She was maybe 6 years old, and I remember crying in front of her and apologizing to her and like hugging her, and I couldn't really explain what was happening. Um, but I just remember, like, that was kind of the moment, and I said, you know what? Let me just see what I don't know. Like, let me just try. You don't know until you try. And what surprised me the most was everything you would ask me. It was like you would say, okay, you think this, but do you really believe this? And it was always a question of, like, what is a true belief and where is that belief or that emotion coming from? I think that was the biggest surprise, that every time we had to work on something, we would go back into my childhood or my mind
Wow.
or my thought process and my emotions, and have to clean them up and heal them, or clean them up would be probably the best way. And then I would feel like almost like a new person every time. And then it taught me so much about myself. Like, even to this day, one of the big things that I remember I was telling, like, I do, and then they're not appreciative, and then I blow up. And then we had the conversation about, what does a little girl inside me want? And it came out that she's screaming to play. She didn't get enough time to play. So now I know, after that, it's like when we have time with the family, we do things that the little girl inside me would love to do. So she gets a chance to play. And if I'm feeling stressed, overwhelmed, I know I have to step back and, okay, what does the little girl inside me, what does Nadia want? And it helped me come to a sense of self. Because I feel like when you're raised in a certain way of thinking. It's the mother gives, the mother takes care, the mother does this, mother, everything giving, 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 and you lose, or you don't even take the time to ask, what do you want? What do you like? Who are you? What brings you pleasure? What brings you happiness? And I think that was the biggest thing I learned is I have to get to know myself better. And when I get to know myself better, I succeed more as a mother, I succeed more as a wife, I succeed more as a professional, because I know myself and I can then bring out the best of me instead of trying to be the best without really knowing myself.
The inner child is one of the best thing that really, once we face it, everything's changed after.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of clarity, a lot of clarity. And I remember seeing my kids through then the child's eyes. And I was like, okay, I could understand. Like, I would probably do the same thing if I was them, maybe I'm overreacting. So then I would let things go. And I would say, okay, kids will be kids, kids will be kids. So I could let a lot more go and have less rules, that everything had to be by rule, by rule. So it helped me kind of relax a bit too.
It's amazing, amazing. I remember your process was one of the process that was so, I saw the change so quickly. It didn't take years. It
Yeah,
take
it was like a few sessions, and every session was like a breakthrough and another
right.
breakthrough. And I would tell my husband about this because he was always like, "You're doing this, that." But when I would tell him the stories and how I felt and what I discovered, he's like, "You should keep doing it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, okay, it's benefiting everybody." Most of the work, the sessions that were the most impactful for me were the ones going back into my beliefs, my emotions, where to come from, remembering, visualizing it. Like, it was so real. I went back to this place in my mind, into this reality, and I was there now to heal myself, and it was so powerful. And then we had those sessions, and then we had more sessions of like, okay, strategies, like give me a little chart, let's do a reward system, this and that. I felt those were good, but not nowhere as impactful as when we really targeted the emotions, the beliefs, where these were coming from. Fast forward 4 or 5 years, I go to an event, Tony Robbins event, and I hear about neuro linguistic program, NLP. And I'm like, this sounds very familiar. I'm like, to my husband, I'm like, this sounds very familiar. And then I remember calling you back and saying, what was that we did? Because it wasn't just parenting coaching, it was something different. And you said it's NLP. And I remember going to my husband saying, like, this is so impactful, like from two different places. What are the odds?
Wow.
They speak about the same things. And now that I've experienced it, I know how impactful it is. And that's the difference between, having a book where you can read and learn, which is good. It's good to have the basics, and then making the actual changes deep within our minds, because it's in a different place. It's not in our logical mind. It's really not in our logical mind. We know what's right and wrong, but yet we will still sometimes be driven to make the wrong choice. And we know what's an appropriate behavior or not, but yet we'll still yell. I'm not perfect. I definitely still yell. I definitely have my times. They'll last much shorter. They're much shorter now. I can click on and off, and come back to who I want to be, and connect back to who I want to be and who I strive to be, and reapproach the situation. So it's good to read. It's good to learn, but until you do the work, and there's no other word to describe it except the work. And it sounds, when someone doesn't know, they're like, what are you talking about? The work. What is the work? Or just sit there and ask yourself, what do I like? What do I not like? It doesn't do the same impact. It's helpful to have someone guide you, to question you, to really make you stretch on, what are we truly talking about here? What are you truly believing? Now tell me where that comes from. And to guide you to a place that you cannot really get to on your own.
Exactly, because everything is basically in our subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. We're not even aware to our beliefs, to our feelings, to our thoughts. We don't think we even think before we act, but there's so much. We react like automatically, and that's when you said those books, that's exactly what's bringing me to this way. I remember that I learned so much about relationship, parenting, about myself, courses, tons of them. So much books, but in the real life, I actually forgot everything that I learned.
in the moment. Yeah.
Forgot everything, like all those books like not exist. And I'm like, gosh, why you don't apply it? And I thought that really something is wrong with me. Like something is, and one of the cases that happened, it was happened like almost 10 to 9 years ago. The one that lead the parenting class, he says, Diana, listen, if you didn't get this from your parents, this patience, this love, it's missing. So therefore, it's gonna take you time to get it, like to be the mother that I want to be. I want to be more calm. I want to be more understanding. I want them to have a connection playful, with me.
Yeah.
I want them to be connected with me. I don't want that until teenager I'm gonna lose the moment, and I'm gonna lose the moment. So then I remember that night I didn't go to sleep, and I started to search. I even didn't know what am I looking for. Not parenting classes, not parenting books, not parenting sessions. I don't want anything about parenting. And something catch my eye. And I remember that night I just emailed to her. There's no time, no place to phone call. I emailed to her, and I started to read about what she's teaching. I says, oh my God, I think I found what I'm looking for. The next day, I didn't waste the time. The next day, I says, no matter how much it costs, I need to talk to her. And you know what? After one session, it's changed my life. Changed my life to the point I understand that this is not the girl, that's not the problem, it's not the child problem. It's me that have so much thoughts that control me, emotions, so much from my past that you thought you grow out of this. That's the problem. We think like we already grow up of this and we're already different and we already like there's no any connection, but it's everything connected. The way that you're dealing with your husband, if you have issues in your marriage, it's a lot of comes from your past, what you saw at home, how you saw that the conflict was solved at home, if who's making more faces or who's more stronger, who's screaming louder win, that's what you're gonna do in your marriage. And then I saw like I can't continue like this. Like I want to be more present, more calmer, more. It's very easy to be nice when they come and listen.
Yeah,
it's very easy.
Then you remember why you wanted kids, and they're so nice. But the crazy thing is, although they test you, right? I always think like it's interesting how although we have these hard moments, like you still want another kid. Like it's interesting, right? But that's why, because we have this, we don't give up, and we know that there's this light that we're looking for, and there's a way to get there. And the work is how to get to that light.
Absolutely. When we did the work with the subconscious mind, not just the logically brain, the transformation is quicker. Tell me.
100% is instant. It's instant. Once you change this belief, or once you address this belief, it rewires everything that trickled from that belief. Because of this belief, you reacted this way when your husband said this. Because of that belief, you reacted this way when your kids did this. Because of this belief, you reacted this way when something didn't work out at work, or your house was a mess, or something, or your mother-in-law said something. It was because of this belief. So if you change this one root, it goes like a fan, and it expands and makes things different in all areas. And also, if some people do it for other people, like my goal was to have a better relationship with my daughter, but at the end of it, now I realize like what I do, it brings me more peace, and that's the most priceless and most inner peace. To be peaceful with myself is the most biggest gift you could have, and you can only do that by getting to know yourself. And you don't get to know yourself by living everyday life, just reading books. You get to know yourself when you really go deep. And you can only go deep into the subconscious mind, into these emotions, when you allow yourself to open up and allow yourself to get far deep enough where that change rooted. And you can just click it. It's like a light switch on, off. It's so quick.
One of my clients, basically, she always felt in her relationship that she's alone. And no matter what is like, how much she was trying to like to get things done, and something small that he did that make her feel like she's not enough or she's not appreciated, she blew up. And you know what is this? And once we basically face to this, I'm not appreciated and I'm not good enough or I'm not important, she not even realized that that's what triggered her. She always felt, oh, this is his fault, how he's acting, how he's talking. But we are the one that's responsible how we respond to this. Are you putting boundaries? Are you know your worth? Are you know who you are?
100%.
And once we just, this button that he press that make you feel like you're not good enough or you're not important or you're failure, he just press this button.
Sometimes not even knowing.
Not even knowing. Yeah, not even knowing. Not by purpose.
Yeah.
But this is button basically take you back to this child that felt. I told her, when was your first time that you felt that you're not enough, you're not important? We go back on time. You know when it happened? When she was 3 months old.
Wow. It's crazy that when you do this work, you can get to times that you cannot think of. You cannot remember what happened 3 months unless you're in this state and work.
Yeah, so whatever we do, basically you close your eyes,
you go into a different state.
You go into a different state, we go back on time, and we feel that we're looking for the first feeling when you felt that you're not important, that you're not enough. And basically, who felt that? Her mother felt like that. And the child take it to himself. So what we did is just we separate those feelings. We address it, and we give to we separate that feeling from her mother and from herself, and basically make like such a deep session, like she actually like we're born a new person. And since then she told me, Diana, it's not triggering me anymore. It's a miracle. It's a mess. I'm like, no, it's not a mess. It's just because you now you understand like from where it's come from.
And you can even, now that she understands that, like I had a recent episode where I told my husband, I'm just not feeling appreciated enough. Like I need a little bit more nice words. I need a little more, because I knew that this was getting me upset. But if I didn't know this about myself, I would just get angry and it would be a fight. And you don't know what you're fighting about at the end of the day, So it's the fact that you know this about yourself gives you another tool to use for peace, of just telling the person. And when you can communicate, your husbands are usually more than happy to do what you would like, as long as you're very clear, because women's brain and men's brain are so different. Totally different.
What do you learn about self-love that you didn't know before?
Some people think self-love is looking pretty, but it's like inside loving yourself, your thoughts, your mind, your emotions. Like you want to love the way you feel and the way you react to things. That's really loving, and taking care of the time to reflect on that and working on that. That's like the ultimate self-love.
I feel for me, self-love is when I learn to love my inner child. Even her mistakes, even her, that she's not perfect, to love these parts.
And say something didn't work out, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm only human. And if someone else gets upset with you about something, it's okay, I'm human. Like
to learn to forgive yourself.
Yes,
to learn to understand, yes, I'm not so organized. To accept that, or to accept that I'm not so like her or like him, or comparing myself to others all the time, and to learn each part of us, even the defect part. And for me, there was transformation from the inner child. When I felt like I nurturing her, I give her what my parents couldn't give, and because they couldn't give, not because they didn't want to give. So I basically feel like once we learn to give this love to ourselves, I feel like that's the most. This is not unconditional love.
Yes,
not conditional love.
If you're gonna put it based on something outside of you, then when that thing doesn't work out, you're gonna hate yourself. And if you cannot love your children, you cannot love your husband, you cannot love anything if you're not filled up. So loving yourself helps fill up your cup. And our day-to-day, like most of our day-to-day empties out our cup, I feel like, because we don't make our life and to do things that fulfill us. So, and it's hard because you have to find the time to do the things that fulfill you. But when you have this love, or at least you know what love feels like to yourself, you're full of it, and then you have more to give.
I had a client that she says, Diana, my husband loved me, I'm good, like I have no problems with that, but I still feel like no matter how much my husband loved me, it's not enough. It's not enough, you know? And this feeling that it's not enough is because you never learned to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter how much love everybody will show you, but if you don't love and you learn to acknowledge yourself, learn to accept yourself, learn to accepting yourself does not mean that this is who I am and I'm not changing. No, accepting it's
with kindness.
You accept it with kindness, and it says, okay, let's do this change together. I'm not against you because I'm not against myself. I'm not do the change because I hate myself, but I do the change because I love myself, because I care about myself. So I'm not fighting with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And our parents gave whatever they had, and when we just need to continue with. That's why this work is so important. It's one of the most important work that I can say ever change, because once you feel whole with yourself, complete with yourself, enough with yourself, whatever outside world, it's just an addition.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an addition, and it's beautiful to have it, and it's amazing to have it.
You can enjoy it even more.
Yeah, enjoy
when you
much
feel
more.
When you feel from a whole place.
Yeah.
Instead of you're always trying to fill up a cup that never feels like it could get filled up. I remember specifically the example of me wiping the dust. I remembered I was in my mom's room. I remembered her furniture is so beautiful, and I wanted to do such a good job, and I was doing it nice and slow, just like to take my time. And I remember her coming in and just saying like, oh, you missed this spot, this spot, this spot, this spot. And I was almost like heartbroken. Like my effort was not good enough, and actually like was not at all what was expected. So I didn't do a good enough job. And then I remember feeling like really sad about it. And you told me, what would this little girl need to hear right now? And it was simple. Like it was, I see you tried your best. Let me show you, let me show you how you can do it even a little better. Let's do it together. And then you would have me visualize adult me coming into the room and telling this little girl exactly what she needed to hear. And I even visualized like me, little me, and big me, and we're like wiping the rest of the dust together. And afterwards, you would ask me, how do I feel? And I felt like the confidence was through the roof. I felt so accomplished. I felt so worthy and acknowledged, like the effort was acknowledged. And yes, even if I didn't do it perfectly, it's okay, because we can always do it together, and there's room to grow is a good thing. And it was like cloud nine. It's like this childhood happiness, when kids have this, when they really feel like fulfilled. And I felt that again, and I haven't felt that in like forever, because I'm an adult. You don't get those kind of raw emotions like kids get. And I remember after the session, I just felt so like inspired that even if I made a mistake, it's completely fine. It's like I can always help myself, and I realized the pathway to get there. And that's what that was just a small example. There's many more sessions we did, and different things that just blew my mind. Like, how did this come from here to here? And that's what's this and that. And I had revelations that I didn't even know. I'm like, whoa, I don't even know how I got from point A to point B, but I would have never been able to do that myself.
But this is a small trauma, but it still control their life. Okay? So why this is a trauma? Because there is a feeling over there that never was filtered and never was observed and released. So this feeling of sadness and disappointment at this moment, it's stuck. And it's stuck in the mind and in the body. Whatever we did, when we go back and we find the root, we release it, we reframe it, we give it a different experience now, so this emotion can release.
Mm-hmm.
This is something, those things we don't see, but we feel it. That's why you felt empowered, mm-hmm. and confident, because this feeling, unless this feeling is not gonna feel acknowledge and release, it's gonna be very hard, no matter how much affirmation you're gonna tell to yourself.
It's still there.
It's still there. It still follows you. So what we did, we did kind of change the story. We changed the story by changing the feeling. Once we change the feeling, because everything that we do in life, it's everything emotionally. It's everything. You buy stuff and you do stuff and you eat because you feel certain things.
Yeah, you're looking for the feeling you get.
all the time. We don't even realize that this. So the feeling of these feelings get stuck in the system, and once we just release it, that's how we release it. That by acknowledge, by send love, by shifting this, by question this, then this feeling release, and then we feel more calmer, more relaxed, more grounded, more gratitude. Then we can be in our adult self much more mature and not acting like a little girl.
100%. I agree with that, because I felt like finally after this work I was more equipped to be a mother. Like before, I felt like I was trying and I was like trying and failing, and I was a kid trying to raise other kids the way my mind thought. And after this, I really felt like I finally was able to embrace adulthood and I was grown up. I finally felt more grown up, that I didn't have to respond and react, but I felt more regulated. For my third child, that I finally learned to be a mom, and that's when we were doing the work with you. After I had my third kid is when I started doing the work with you.
Wow.
That is, I work with children, and like parents come in and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so good. Like I had a few parents, oh my gosh, she's a godsend. And I work with difficult kids and have no problem working with them. I enjoy it, I love it, I'm good at it. But when it came to my own, I was like, I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I even would tell parents, like, I'm good here, but don't judge yourself, because I knew like how I would judge myself. And I'm like, not everyone is the same in different places. So that was also for me.
It's painful.
It's like, how come I'm so good with everyone else's and I have to space with my own? Like I
this was family.
Yeah, and this allowed me to then be the same. At least on the same level. Like now I can parent from a different place. I think that's the best place to say it. I can parent from a different place of I'm regulated now. I'm grown up now. I'm here. I feel whole. I'm not like in conflict with myself. Now I can be there for you.
I don't have trauma in my childhood. I have no patience
either. I had zero. I had the most perfect childhood imaginable. Like really, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Like my parents were around. They had the American lifestyle. They were always home. They were I honestly had the perfect childhood. And then I realized even small things like this. What we don't understand is that as children, our brains are so different, and our children's brains are so different. They could take something that we didn't even mean to be upsetting. They could take it in a different way, and they could like take it in and bottle it up and make something else out of it. So it doesn't have to be real, like any big event that happened to you, but as children, the brains are so different, and we forget that as adults. When we speak like adults, and we forget what a child's brain, how it absorbs and how it learns and how it takes things in. So I think it doesn't have to be something happened to you. It's just a good way to discover yourself, because anything could have happened. Little things could have happened. Sometimes there's things that people bottle up, and real things that happen that they like almost deny it even happened, but it follows them through life.
We're acting different when we also upset. Do you realize that?
Yes.
And that's happening because our self-adult and our nerve system, childhood, because that's how we learn to survive, by screaming, yelling, or by silence, or by just being quiet or ignoring, right? That's what we learned. We didn't learn how to communicate. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about this, right? How to express our needs or feelings. So then we come back to the same child, the same technique that we learned. We're stuck there.
I agree. I think one of the other things that I really learned from our sessions is our feelings are clues. We don't have to be all, okay, I feel, and be a victim. No, but you need to see what's in front of you and take a step back and ask, why is it there? If I feel this way, why? What is it what's bothering me? And our emotions are clues. If we're gonna, as women, we tend to like try to not feel too much or put it aside. But if we don't address our feelings and question why they're there and acknowledge that they are real, then we can't figure out what's the root of the problem. And I think that you taught me that a lot. Like our emotions are clues. And that's very helpful, because sometimes when I realize I'm very emotional and I can't even understand myself why I'm feeling like I'm having a bad few days, like I'll have to go back and I start writing things down, and then I look back at it with like a little bit more reasonable head to try to see where is the problem. So our emotions or clues are a big thing that you taught me.
Yeah, trying to regulate our emotion. That's why a 40 years old woman can act like an 8 years old girl. And 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 because there's no regulation, she never learned how to regulate her emotions, she's gonna act like this. And the more we learn to look inside, the more feel like tell me, what do you think about this?
100%, I agree. I think we need to look at inside in order to make our inner peace, because the world is never going to create that peace for us. We have to figure out why we're feeling what we're feeling and take care of the root to have that inner peace.
Can you give me an example that you actually saw a difference when you did this work?
I was during that COVID time when we started working, we had spoken about this little voice that comes into my head right before I'm about to explode, like go into a rage.
Right.
And I remember telling you the voice is in Russian, but I think and speak mostly in English. Like I don't really think, I have to think how to translate to Russian. And that was my little clue of this trigger. It's about to happen and I'm about to like go into a rage. It's going to take me hours, if not days, to calm down from it.
And what's this voice told you?
Все, дети должны слушаться.
Yeah.
And of course my kids were not listening. So I'm like, something's wrong. Something's not in order. And woof, there it goes. Everyone, and my kids are looking at me like, okay, I like made a little mess. Like, what was the big deal? But it was like, it was adding up. So then I learned that that was a trigger for me. And then I had to take care of it. And we worked on healing it. And then when I would have that next time, when I would feel that overwhelming trying to come up, you would teach me to take a breath, and we would see it as like a color. I would change the color. I would tell that emotion, thank you for coming. Thank you for helping me. You helped me when I needed it to survive, but I don't need you right now. Put it aside, and another light would come and fill me up. Like I would remember telling me take a glow, a light, like positive emotions, like everything's okay and I'm gonna go with this energy instead. And then I could avoid that. I could get over that hump before it went to explosion, and I could settle it back down.
So
and your brain and your body really listens. Like if you tell it, it will listen.
Yeah. And what do you remember that this voice was belonged to, or where it's come from?
I think it came back from like a childhood trauma with my mom, but I don't even remember exactly when she said it. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. This is actually a belief. You grow up with a belief. This is belief, and when you see that this belief is not working in your real life, something is wrong, right?
Yeah.
So
like I'm failing, I'm doing a bad job, and then I get angry, and then it's like
because this is voice wants to protect you from what? From feeling failure. And this is you can't handle. That's why it's exploring. But this belief basically just a belief. And can you and once we break this belief, we question this belief. Is this true? Who said this to me? Where did I learn this from? Right? And then I understand, is this is the right belief for me? What's the price that I pay when I believe to this belief? Who I am and who I am going to be without this belief. Basically, the first step is to understand that you don't have to believe to this belief.
Yeah, I think the first step is even identifying what is the belief that's driving you. And then, because a lot of times we don't even know what we're believing, because we developed this in childhood, like probably before we were 7 years old. Absolutely. And they weren't even our choices.
Yeah.
They were just things that kind of got absorbed, and we made something out of it. We don't even realize we're operating on that system, on that code. If something's wrong or I don't like something, I'll try to understand it from a way, not like my kid is not behaving and they're not listening, but like what is causing them to not behave and not
listen. You more have the patience to understand them.
I think I don't judge them.
You don't judge.
That's what it was. Before I was judging a lot. My daughter's lazy, what is ungrateful, what is wrong with this kid, la la la, it was never like this. I never would say things like this, and I would judge. And I think you asked me, like, is this belief really true? And I'm like, yes, I totally think she's lazy. And then after we dug into it, it's like, no, okay, I could see it from her perspective a little bit. So now I try not to judge. sometimes you can't
That's
see it on the outside.
that's
Sometimes it's an
enriching.
inside thing because I will still not be so nice, but I will, when I calmer, like I'll step back and say, okay, what do I need to understand from a non-judgmental place, to understand my child better.
Wow, that's amazing. Basically, because of your kids, you grow up so much.
Oh yeah, I tell them, I'm like, your kids are your mirror. You're not escaping it. They're gonna point everything that's not correct or good back at you, and you have no choice but to work on it. 100%.
Yeah. And what's the difference between continue reading books and listening to podcasts or to do this work? What's the difference?
I was reading books. I was always reading books. I would read a book how to talk to your kids so they will listen, and listen so your kids will talk. It was good. It was good, but like it helped my logical mind understand everything. But when you're triggered and when you're in your everyday, you're not in your logical mind. You're operating from your subconscious mind. Your behaviors, your emotions, those are all from subconscious. So although my logical mind said, oh, okay, I understand, this is good, I'll try it, it didn't translate into real life because it was incredibly hard to put into practice. And then you try to put in practice, and again you fail, and then again you feel like a failure. So the work is that you are actually doing the work. It's making the changes. It's going deep down to the subconscious, to the emotional, wherever the healing needs to happen or the change needs to happen, and actually making a change. I 100% believe like you have to immerse yourself in an environment or put yourself in a place where you can grow. Reading and learning is amazing and very important, but to actually make those changes, you have to be in an environment, whether it's the environment in your mind or the environment in the physical environment, to give yourself the space to make the changes at the root base. Because otherwise we're just putting band-aids on, and we're trying and we're failing and we're trying and we're failing, and then I feel like a lot of people give up. And the problem becomes worse. You know, I tried so hard, now it's the kid's problem. Like it must be something with them, I'm done, I tried. But it's always a two-way street. And I feel like the kids, who told me this? Maybe you told me this. They did not choose to be here, right? We chose to bring them into this world, so it's really our responsibility. It's not their obligation to us, but more our responsibility to now nurture this human to be the best that they can be.
If a mother right now wants to set, like if a mother right now watching this and she wants to be a better mom, she wants to be more patient, do you think the way that we raise it impact that, or there's nothing to do with this?
100% impact that. But I'll tell you, with the work, when you learn, you know, how your beliefs impact your day-to-day and your behaviors, and then with that lens, you look at your parents, you have so much more compassion for them. You have so much more love and openness for them. Like I know after this, I intentionally wanted to get to know my mom and my dad better as human beings, not just as parents. And you realize like everyone goes through their own journeys in life, and they carry their own weight of their own trauma. And you really, and then you become in awe of like, wow, with all that they went through, with all that they carried, the trauma they had, the immigration they had, like, and not knowing so much, they still did like so good. And it's like you're really inspired. And then you say, I have now the opportunity to take it to the next level, like take it one step higher for my kids. Not that my parents made a mistake, but they did the best they could with what they have. But I have now so much more resources and ability. Let me do more. And like you said, generational healing. When you heal yourself, you heal backwards and you heal forwards. So like the work I do for myself helps my parents, helps my mom, helps my communication with them, my relationship with them, which heals them also in a certain way. It helps me with my kids and the generations going forward. Human beings, and from a place of like compassion. That's also what this work really helped me understand. It's that we don't have to judge. Judging is like out the window. You know, you see people from such a different light, and you see them for their faults, and you're okay with it because it's something got them there. And you see them for their strengths, and you're like in awe. And it allows you to be peaceful with the other relationships in your life, not just with you and yourself, but first and always is you and yourself has to be first in order to have enough stamina for all the other relationships in your life. So that's what I would I highly recommend, like, if you are a person who wants to be a better mom, but also maybe wants to have a more better relationship with other people in your life, including your parents, doing this work and understanding yourself and understanding your beliefs will really open up a new level of compassion for everyone around you in your work as well. Like, it helps me a lot with my work. And it's an overall thing with your spouse, with your husband and your wife. Like, they had their own upbringing, and you can understand why you're not going to blame your in-laws for giving you this product. You're going to say, like, wow, they had this to deal with and this was the product, like, thank God, and now we have this and we can grow even more. And as a woman, I just feel like, you know how they say in our culture, they say everything comes from the woman, everything's because of the woman, almost in a blaming way, but I take it very differently, because I realize now the power women have. We are so far removed from our powers, and we need to come back to our powers, and our power lies within us. I think that's what I'm always trying to understand. I feel the power, but I don't know how to use it and get it. But as women, when you work on yourself and you love yourself, your husband would 100% love you more, and you'll see it in everyday little things. And also they will then be inspired to, like, work on themselves a little bit. And it all starts from you. It all starts from the woman. I feel like we're always leaders. That's how I feel.
I feel like, yes, the husband, right? Okay, let's say 99% it's their fault and his mother's fault. But this 1% that we have can upgrade this whole 99.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this 1% that we can, once we work in this 1%, it's much stronger than this 99, because really we are so much impact. So much impact. Everything is changed.
Yeah, you can take it as like a burden on your shoulders, or you can take it like a source.
Yeah.
So it depends how you take it, and it depends on what state you're in. If you're in a state of constantly talking bad to yourself or blaming yourself or feeling overwhelmed, of course you're going to take it like a burden, and it only gets heavier and heavier and heavier. Whereas if you take it like a source of, like, okay, let me see what's going on inside, let me let that shine through, and it shines through on everything. And you don't feel the burden, you just feel it's like something to deal with or something to grow from. You start taking challenges more as a reason to grow than as a punishment, or like something you have to be different to please somebody else. It makes you much more whole and strong.
Absolutely. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you for all your work with me.